It's the Notch 6 online podcast, episode number 10. In this episode, I have a huge announcement about a brand new product that's 60 years in the making, the first installment of our On the Road to the LCCA National Convention modular layout build. I have a tip for a brand new idea for lighting your layout, and we chat with Lionel's Rudy Trubitt about the legacy source codes becoming open as of January 2014. It's an informative and exciting episode, and it's all ahead on Notch 6.
This is the Notch 6 online podcast. Notch 6 is the podcast dedicated to O-gauge trains. Whether you're collecting, operating, or just getting started, Notch 6 is your home for O-gauge news, events, and interviews. Now here is your host, Derek Thomas.
Well, welcome to the show, and an exciting episode number 10 this is going to be. Whether you're new to O-gauge trains, whether you've been doing this for a long time, or whether you just found us by accident, welcome to the Notch 6 podcast. We are by far the fastest and most in-depth way to get news in the world of O-gauge, and we're just going to keep doing that until somebody tells us to stop. So excited to finally be putting this episode together. I have waited for weeks to put this together, and that is because I have a huge announcement that I'm so excited to tell you guys about. That and a lot of other great information in this show. So for the big announcement, we're going to jump over to the news desk, and I'm going to tell you all about it.
Keeping you up to date on everything that's coming down the tracks in the world of O-gauge. It's time for the Notch 6 News Desk. The News Desk is brought to you by the Lionel Collectors Club of America. Visit lionelcollectors.org for all the latest LCCA news.
All right, kicking off the news desk, as I've said, and as you can tell, I am so excited about what I'm about to tell you guys about. I've been working on this for a few months now, and I can finally talk about it. So where to begin on this? Basically, we have a new product that we're bringing to the world of O-gauge that has never been done before. It's been 60 years in the making, and quite frankly, it's just really, really, really cool. Did I stress how cool this product is? So as of today, I'm officially announcing the Madison Poster Company. So what is the Madison Poster Company? Well, we've been working with our friends down at Lionel in North Carolina for a few months now, and what we are bringing to your train room is the first ever series of dealer display posters that are reproductions. Now, if you're familiar with Lionel post-war trains, and especially the paper side of trains, I'm sure you've seen some of Lionel's dealer posters that they used to distribute in the 40s and 50s and even into the 60s. These dealer posters were big, colorful posters that were sold to hobby shops to hang on the wall in the hobby shop or the department store, and they helped sell trains. The thing about these posters are they are big, they scream Lionel, and they're just really cool. The drawback to these posters is they become incredibly scarce. Posters bring anywhere in the neighborhood for originals anywhere between $800 to upwards of $20,000 for original posters. I have always been fascinated by these posters and have always kind of wanted to find a way to bring them into the homes of people who need some really cool wall art for their train room, some really high quality wall art for their train room, but couldn't afford original posters. So, at the end of November, I got together with Lionel, and we have formed the Madison Poster Company. The Madison Poster Company is a company that's run by myself and my wife with permission from Lionel. Lionel has put their stamp of approval on this project, and they are licensing the artwork to our company. And the first poster that we have, I am so excited about this. This poster has never been reproduced in the world of O-gauge until now. And the wild thing about this poster is it's so incredibly scarce. There are, from what we can put together, there are less than probably 10 examples known to exist still. So this is an incredibly rare poster from 1954. It's the D145 dealer display mural, and it's going to be the first poster in our series. So that's what we're announcing today, is the D145 display mural is now for sale. What's cool about this mural is the original mural measured 16 feet long by 4 foot tall. This was a monster mural, and it was just, any display department that you walked into, this thing would be the first thing you saw. Now, obviously, not everybody has room for a 16-foot by 4-foot poster in their train room, so we've scaled it down a little bit. The first poster in this series is going to be 7 foot wide by 20 inches tall. Obviously, still a very long and impressive poster, but not so big that you can't fit it in most average train rooms. And I tell you what, guys, once you see this poster, it's going to be worth clearing off some wall space for. So what else makes this poster special besides the fact that it's never been done in O-Gauge before? It's really large and it's really colorful. Lionel has gotten on board with this thing. It's officially licensed by Lionel. It's a very high quality poster. Lionel supports this and has put their trademark on it and their stamp of approval. They've licensed us to do this poster. So Howard Hitchcock, the general manager and vice president of Lionel, has gotten together with us and has agreed to sign 200 certificates of authenticity for this poster. And each one of the first 200 posters will be individually numbered, will come with a certificate of authenticity that's really, really sharp. It'll be signed by myself and Howard. And then you, of course, get this beautiful, amazing poster. It's printed on very thick, high-quality paper, very rich color. It's just a sharp poster. So if you want more information about the poster, it's now available. You can go to our website, which is madisonposter.com. That's Madison Poster, just like Madison Hardware, madisonposter.com. You can order the poster through our secure website, and it's really, really affordable considering the size and that this has never been done in O-Gauge before. But I'll let you read all about that when you hop over to the website, which is madisonposter.com. I encourage you to go over there, check out the poster, get all the information, look at the great photograph of it, and you'll be able to see exactly what I'm talking about this really great poster that's never been done before in O-Gauge. Now, because this is so fresh, we're waiting for the certificates of authenticity to come back from Lionel signed. So what we're going to do is we're going to give folks a couple of weeks to pre-order the poster. Like I said, you can go to the website now and order the poster at madisonposter.com. It will be a pre-order. Once those certificates come back from Lionel, we will go ahead and we will put everything together in terms of get the poster, get the certificates together, and we will get them into the mail to you. We expect that to be around the 3rd week of February once everything gets back in our hands. The other important thing about doing a pre-order now is that it guarantees you a low number poster. We're starting from 1 and we're going to 200. Once those 200 are done, we will no longer number the posters. They will no longer come with certificates of authenticity, but they will be available. But the first 200 are the ones that get numbered, and they're the ones that get the certificates of authenticity. So the sooner you get with us and get an order in, it guarantees you a low number poster. A few other things I want to tell you real quick before we jump off of this topic is that we are only going to print the number of posters that we have ordered. These are printed to order posters. So I'm not having 1,000 of them printed and am suddenly going to flood the market with them. If you order a poster, you're going to receive a poster, but we are not printing any more posters than what we receive orders for. So it's one of those things that I think is important, especially from the standpoint of, look, if somebody's going to order a poster like this, we want this poster to say special. Obviously, we don't want thousands of posters running around out there if there doesn't need to be. So if you order a poster, you and only the people who order posters will be receiving one. You're not going to see these show up in bundles on table at York getting blown out. It doesn't work that way. The other thing is this is the first in a series of posters. If everything goes well this year, Lionel has agreed to continue the series with us, and we already have artwork in mind for future years. So you'll be able to put together a really sharp collection of Lionel dealer posters that until now, most people could only dream of affording. So we're so excited to announce this. I'm so excited to talk about it. Feel free to check us out over at madisonposter.com and get your order in now for that low number poster. We will be shipping those before the end of February. All right. Boy, that feels good to talk about that. Ugh, that's been on my mind for a month now, and I'm so happy that we can talk about it. All right, jumping to our next topic, and this is one we've been talking about for a few months now. It's time for our first installment of our On the Road to the LCCA National Convention modular layout build. Now, this is going to be a really short segment, but I kind of wanted to tell you guys about the background of the project, where we're going with it, and my initial impressions. I have watched the LCCA modular layout project come together really over the last 18 months, and it's one of those things that as the months pass by, it's catching on more and more. I got together with Al Colas back at Fall York, and we got talking about the project, and I said, I would love to do something for the Indianapolis National Convention, which is this coming July. And he said, well, why don't you build a module? And I said, sure. I've watched these modules come together at shows, get put up and taken down in just a really quick amount of time. And I thought, I want to try this. I want to see how it works. And so I got a kit from the LCCA, a straight section kit. The kit comes in a box. And my initial impressions with the kit when I cut open the box is, it's all here. It really is all here. And what's really cool about these modules and why I'm excited to build this is the box really does have everything. The only thing that is missing from the module box that you would need to purchase is the tabletop piece of plywood and then the two longer sections of fast track or curve track to make your module. Everything else is included in the kit. The rotolocks, the legs, the brackets, the sides, everything is there. And it's just really amazing. The other thing that I think is really sharp about this kit, in my initial impression, is how the wiring diagram is laid out. There's a universal wiring bus that goes underneath the entire layout, and it plugs from one section to the next. Each wire is color-coded, so you know exactly what wire to tap into for power, accessory, etc. It's just a really clean system. And when you open the box for the first time and you look at everything that's in the box, you go, this is a really well thought out system. So what do I have in mind for this module, you might be asking? Well, at this point, I'm trying to figure out a couple of different things. It's a straight section, and since it's the Notch 6 module, I think one of the things I'm thinking about is trying to find one of the Lionel radio station towers, put that on there, maybe a little Notch 6 hobby shop or something like that. The other thing, though, that I want to do is find a way to feed an MP3 player under the table with a little speaker built into the tabletop that plays episodes of Notch 6 while people are standing around and watching the trains go by on the module. So that's one of the engineering challenges that I'm trying to figure out, is how I can hook an MP3 player into the accessory wiring underneath, so there would be a constant power feed to the MP3 player and draw enough power off of that accessory feed, not only to power the MP3 player, but also to power a small speaker. So that's on the drawing board, so to speak, right now. Like I said, we've only opened the box to the module and started kind of picking through the contents of it. But between reading the instructions and looking through the box, I have a feeling this is going to be a much quicker build than I anticipated. But the nice thing about that is the quicker the build goes, the more time I have to play around with the scenery and the fun stuff at the end. So it looks like I'll get the best of both worlds in terms of this will go together quickly, and I'll have time to do what I really enjoy, which is putting the scenery together. Next month on the road to the LCCA National Convention, we'll talk about some of the special events that are coming up. I'll fill you in on what's going on putting the layout together. And we'll also catch up with Al Colas about some of the planned events that they have in the works, so you have that to look forward to. The final thing I want to talk about in the news desk before we get to our interview with Rudy Trubitt about the legacy open source codes from last month is a new lighting product for your layout. And this is something that is really one of those things that once your layout gets to a finished point, if you're looking for something new that's cool technology that wasn't necessarily designed for a model railroad but fits in great with our application, then this is something worth checking out. The product is called Hue, spelled H-U-E, and it's made by Philips, which is a large electronics manufacturer that I'm sure most of you are familiar with. Now, what Hue is designed to be, it's called a personal lighting equipment. And basically what it is a screw-based type LED light bulb. But It's an infinite color LED bulb. So, okay, how does that fit in with a layout? One of the things that we've always tried to do with layouts is replicate day, night, stormy afternoon, things like that. But the problem has always been, unless you've got a background in theatrical lighting or want to install all sorts of different lights and filters in your train room, there's no real universal answer to that. Well, where Hue comes in is this kind of solves that problem. What's neat about Hue is it's a screw type light bulb, just like what goes into a normal light socket, but it is infinite color. So what takes us to the next step are a couple of different things. Number one, there is an application that Philips has put out for your smartphone. You can take a picture of anything. You can go outside in your backyard, take a picture. You can go trackside and take a picture. You can go out and take a picture of anything. In the Hue application on your smart device, you can pull a color out of that picture. So if you have a bright afternoon sky, you can pull that color blue out of the picture. And your light bulbs, because they're all Wi-Fi connected, the light bulbs that are Hue light bulbs will automatically change to that color. So you can change the lighting above your layout to an afternoon sky blue, a dark gray, whatever color you desire, orange, red, you name it. And it all is through your smartphone and these light bulbs and the fact that these light bulbs are Wi-Fi connected. The other neat application that I see available here is the ability to simulate a day on a layout. The way I see it is you should be able to program different, lighting conditions, day, night, afternoon, morning, and you can run those all from your smartphone device. So with all of this great technology coming out to run your trains from your smartphone, you can also run your lighting from your smartphone. So who's to say that you can't toggle out of your DCS or your legacy app on your smartphone, pull up your lighting app, and suddenly change your layout from mid-afternoon to dusk to overnight, all with a simple tap. It's a really cool product. It's really pretty reasonably priced. You can get 3 bulbs, the Wi-Fi hub, and the app for $200. Now, if you want to learn more about this product, you can go to Meet Hue, that's MEETHUE.com, and check it out. There's also a lot of great information about the product already on YouTube, but I think we're the first train-related application for the product, but I'm so excited about this product. Once I get a little bit farther along with my layout, we're going to go ahead and we're going to install this on the layout, and we're going to see how it looks. So that's my tip for you for this month, and if any of you guys try this out, feel free to email me and let me know what you think of the product and let me know how it works out on your layout. All right, let's get to the feature interview for this month. This is with Rudy Trubitt, who's the director of audio for Lionel. He's also the face of the LCS system. A big news piece for January that came out that we wanted to cover is the fact that the legacy source codes are becoming open source to developers. So we're going to talk with Rudy about what this is exactly, what this means, and we'll get a little bit more background information on the legacy LCS system as it prepares to make its normal production debut. We'll talk all about that. It's Rudy Trubitt on Notch 6. Sit down, put it in Notch 6. Here we go.
This is the Notch 6 Online Podcast, your home for O-Gauge news, events, and interviews. Here again is Derek Thomas.
All right, big news for the month of January on the Notch 6 podcast. Lionel has announced its legacy protocol is becoming an open protocol. To kind of explain what that means, I have Rudy Trubitt, Director of Audio for Lionel, with me today. Rudy, welcome to the show. Glad to have you along.
Thank you, Derek. Good to be back.
It is good to have you back. We haven't seen you since York. It's been a little while, but this is worth getting together on to talk about. What does it mean for Lionel to open the legacy protocol? Kind of explain what's happened here.
What we've made open is the legacy command protocol for locomotives. These are the commands that the locomotives that we've already sold and that we're continuing to sell, legacy and vision product, respond to. So all the commands related to speed control and the cooling whistle and basically everything new that came out after the original TMCC products were released is now available to customers. Anyone who wants to know how to send a command to a legacy locomotive is now free to do so.
Okay, so basically all the little bits and bytes that your legacy remote sends to the base to tell it, blow the whistle, ring the bell, turn the smoke on and off, you can get on the Lionel website now and read all of those codes. Is that right?
That's correct.
Why did Lionel choose to do this now? What's the push to do this now?
The reason that we're doing this now is that the layout control system Wi-Fi module, the LCS Wi-Fi, presents an opportunity to bring the hobby together around a common way to connect a smart device to a model railroad layout. Prior to the LCS Wi-Fi and also the LCS Serial 2, there wasn't a way to inject an outside legacy command into our system without risking the integrity of the legacy database. That's the engine roster that's basically stored inside the legacy command base. And so because we have both the Wi-Fi module and the wired serial module offering a way to safely get these new commands into the system, it seemed like an appropriate time to make the protocol freely available.
Okay, so the Wi-Fi box is going to kind of act as a mediator between these new outside apps and the legacy base in order to make sure the legacy base understands that everything that an outside app is going to send at it. Is that correct?
Yeah, that's basically right. They serve a similar function. The LCS Serial 2, when that is in people's hands, they'll be able to write their own computer programs if they want transmitting data through that serial port, and they don't need to come to Lionel for any other information. All that information is available. Currently, the LCS Wi-Fi is a royalty-free protocol that is not part of the publicly available document. Currently, we're still working more closely with developers, but we're open to working with individuals, clubs, and other companies who want to participate in developing Wi-Fi applications. So the Wi-Fi part and the Serial 2 are similar conceptually. Both of them create a way to inject legacy commands into the system. People have all the information they might need today, publicly available, to create an application that works with the Serial 2. And we're working with what we're calling our LCS partners and providing them the additional information to work directly with the Wi-Fi interface.
Let's clarify for a second here, and just for listeners who are new to the LCS system, and there's a lot of us that are trying to get a hold on what's going on, can you kind of clarify between what items are actually hard physical hardware things, such as I think the Wi-Fi box is a hardware piece, and can you explain what the difference is between the Wi-Fi box and then you mentioned the LCS2. Well, what is the difference between those two pieces?
Sure. Well, they're both physical pieces of hardware. They both come packaged in the little blue plastic box. The LCS Wi-Fi and the LCS SER2 are both parts of the LCS system. You could use either of them or both of them in one system. They basically are your link to inject commands from the outside world into the layout control system. And the LCS Wi-Fi does that, as the name suggests, through a smart device. And the LCS SER2 does that through a wired serial connector. So you could take a laptop or a desktop computer and connect a serial cable from your computer into the LCS SER2 and send commands that way. And people who are familiar with the original TMCC system will recall that when that product was first released, the original command base, the Trainmaster command base, has a serial port on it, or had a serial port on it, and the command codes that were part of the TMCC locomotive protocol were made publicly available at that time. And people could and did and still do connect computers to that connector and send their own commands. And so we're basically making that capability accessible to people and giving them the opportunity to use the legacy command set as well, now that we've made that protocol publicly available.
What does the future look like with opening these protocols? How does this make my experience with my model railroad more enjoyable?
Well, let's stay with the serial 2 with the hardwired connection for just another moment. I was reading the O-Gauge forum last week, and there was a user there describing something that he wanted to do, which was, he'd like to put a physical button somewhere on the layout, have that wired to a computer that was out of sight, and when a kid came up to the layout and pressed that button, his computer would sense that switch closure and in turn would generate a horn command to blow the horn on a locomotive on the layout. So that's a great example of someone wanting to apply their own creativity to the layout and make it more accessible to visitors. You could take that idea, now that the legacy command protocol is available, the person could create that application, and in addition to just sending an old style TMCC horn command, now they could explicitly call out a soft horn or a loud horn using a quilling whistle command, or send an absolute speed step, basically any kind of legacy command that they wanted to tie to a button. They could write software that would enable that.
Now, just out of curiosity, with these new sensor tracks becoming available, is that something that as a locomotive passes over these new sensor tracks, that with these add-ons, that you will be able to see the commands that the sensor track is reading, or will that all play together eventually?
Yes, the sensor track messages are available to developers. If someone wants to write a more complicated block control algorithm or collision avoidance kind of system, we're putting the hooks in there to make that possible. So down the road, yes, that would be something that people could look forward to as a possible outgrowth of this new technology.
Very neat. Now, one of the first apps that's going to be available is an app called Blue Train. Can you tell us what Blue Train is and what it does on your layout?
Sure. Blue Train is an app created by Bob Kravasik, and he actually had an existing app that was just supporting TMCC commands through a Bluetooth adapter, and he is the first LCS partner with an announced application. It connects to the LCS Wi-Fi and gives you basically the capabilities of a handheld remote on an Android device, like a phone or a tablet. You can send absolute speed commands and signals and direction change. Basically, it's a full cab available on an Android device.
So these apps with these open protocols now, you can write an app that is basically going to be as complex as all the screens on the 990 legacy remote. You can basically write an app that would cover all of that. Is that right?
Yes, that's absolutely possible.
So jumping off of this idea, one of the big questions that's come up is, okay, we've seen the LCS software in terms of the layout building software for the Apple platform. Blue Train is going the Android direction. Is Lionel actively pursuing this kind of technology across other platforms in terms of, will we see something like Blue Train for, I don't know, say the iPhone?
Yes, we are looking at making a simpler train control app that would work on a phone. I think it's a more convenient size for someone who wants to be operating a locomotive. And it also is a way to bring more people in to the experience. So, if you have an LCS Wi-Fi on your layout and you have some visitors, they're probably, if they're already hobbyists, they might show up with their Lionel handheld remote. But if they're casually interested but haven't taken the plunge, but they've got an iPhone or an Android device in their pocket, hey, download the app right now and start playing along. So, yeah, absolutely. We want to see more types of smart devices supported and more ways for people to engage in the hobby.
Obviously, production schedules at Lionel are somewhat fluid. Do you have any new updates for us on the Wi-Fi box? Is it still looking like we'll see it this spring?
Yes.
Okay, that was simple. So yes, we will see the box this spring. That's exciting. Let's make this as simple as we possibly can for a second. Let's say I've got a legacy base in my basement and a decent sized layout. What are the bare bones items that I will need to use my Android powered phone on the layout? What do I need if I only have a legacy base at this point? What pieces of hardware do I need?
To begin, all you'd need would be the LCS Wi-Fi. If you want to connect a smart device to your layout, you need the LCS Wi-Fi to do it. And at that point, anything that is currently on your layout that you can run from your Lionel remote, a locomotive, a command-controlled switch, or a command-controlled accessory, anything that you can currently operate from a cab, once you add the LCS Wi-Fi and an app on your smart device that can send those commands, you can run all those locomotives, accessories, switches at that point. That would be basically all you would need to get started connecting a smart device to your layout, the LCS Wi-Fi module.
And obviously, there's plenty of new products on the horizon with the sensor tracks and everything else that this is, from what we've seen at York just this past fall, this is the first piece in a much larger puzzle of things to come down the road. So this is the foundation of other building blocks.
Yes, it's a very modular system, and sometimes that makes it a little hard to give short answers to simple questions. If you want to run a Wi-Fi device, which we think a lot of people will want to do, you would use the LCS Wi-Fi, but it's not necessary. If people want to take advantage of these other products, like the sensor track, it's not necessary to make the jump into Wi-Fi. You could connect a sensor track to your 990 legacy command base, and all the functionality of that sensor track is available to you. What you gain by adding the Wi-Fi to the sensor track is now you can see on your iPad screen where a locomotive is as it crosses over a sensor track on the layout. You get a little real-time message that says, the Union Pacific 2380 GP9 just crossed over that sensor track, headed in direction X, with a little arrow that pops up that tells you which way it's going. So, as you say, these are building blocks. You can combine them in different ways, but there are very few required components. It's not like you have to buy one of everything just to get started.
One of the big questions, concerns, that has been a debate that has been raging for 20 years now, since the advent of the original TMCC in 1994, is this need for a universal command system, a universal remote, so to speak. How is Lionel viewing this in regards to opening the legacy protocols? Is that a step in that direction?
That's a great question. Yes, this is a step in that direction. The LCS Wi-Fi is our effort to create a common Wi-Fi interface for model railroading. And we're focused on the link between smart devices and the layout. So this doesn't affect the commands that are being sent to individual locomotives, because there are already established locomotive control protocols in the hobby, including our own legacy protocol. So we're not creating and we're not advocating for an additional locomotive control protocol. Instead, with the LCS Wi-Fi, we're offering a royalty-free Wi-Fi interface protocol to individuals, clubs, and companies. And the people who would like to develop for LCS Wi-Fi can use that to support any locomotive control protocol that they wish. So getting back to the universal remote, which is a long-standing goal, and I well understand why people want that, a shared link between smart devices and the layout is what has the potential to bring the hobby together. And it's the way that we can get to a universal remote by still supporting and allowing the operation of people's existing locomotive products, both ours and those of other companies. We get to the universal remote by allowing different existing protocols to pass through a common Wi-Fi interface. So hopefully down the road, someone could have a smart device in their hand, and within the same app, they could control locomotives that use different command protocols. And I think that is really what people have been asking for. And that's how I would describe what we're trying to do. It's a universal remote by sharing the connection between the smart device and the layout, but continuing to use the existing protocols that are embodied in all of the locomotives that are already out there in the O-Gauge universe.
So we're not reinventing the wheel here per se, we're just refining it. It's giving it an additional way to talk to the layout, which in the future may lead to different manufacturers talking to their engines all through the same smart device. And I think that's what we're trying to get at here. Did I clarify that right?
Yes, that's exactly right.
To wrap this up, I'm sure there are plenty of things that Lionel has thought about in terms of little things that the general hobbyist might not even think about, advantages that open protocols present. What are some of those things that Lionel has thought about that maybe we haven't thought of yet?
Well, I guess I would turn it around a little bit and say that the biggest benefit of opening the protocol is that it unleashes the creativity of the people in the hobby who are going to come up with 100 new ideas for every one that we might have as to what they might want to do, given the option to create their own applications. For instance, we're going to be releasing a new version of the iPad app shortly. And what people will see in version 2 is a lot more specific control over accessories. So there are 5 different command control accessories that Lionel has either shipped or will be shipping soon. And each of those accessories is supported with a very detailed and clear custom control panel. So if you are running a command-controlled gantry crane, you've got clearly labeled buttons that indicate, oh, this is the rotate the platform left, this is rotate right, this is turn on the magnet, this is raise the magnet, this is lower the magnet. So rather than requiring people to remember which buttons on a cab remote control which feature of that particular command-controlled accessory, we're making it really obvious. And again, it's a way for someone who's not familiar with the layout and the particulars of how to operate the cab, to make the gantry crane turn on its magnet, make it easy. Here's a control panel. Here's a picture of a magnet. Press this button, and it's going to turn the magnet on. So making it more usable and more accessible is really a big part of our goal.
You've been listening to Rudy Trubitt. One of the things I want to highlight before we go here is there is a lot of information that you guys have put out through a couple of different channels about LCS. One of those things is your YouTube channel. There's a couple of great videos there. What other channels are you guys pushing information through? There's
the website, lionel.com/LCS, which is a microsite within lionel.com. There is the engineering YouTube channel, and I do hope to be getting some new videos about sensor track up there soon. And of course, we read the O-Gauge forum and try and respond as in a timely and appropriate fashion as we can. I would say that lionel.com/LCS would be a great place for people to start to learn more about the system.
Awesome, Rudy. Great to talk to you as always, and I'm sure we'll have you back when the Wi-Fi boxes come out, and you can tell us all sorts of neat little tips and tricks of what we can do to run the layout with Wi-Fi. Thanks again, Rudy.
Thanks so much, Derek. Take care.
Well, that's going to do it for this episode of Notch 6. Thanks to Rudy Trubitt for sharing all the new details on the LCS system and the open source protocol for the legacy commands. A few housekeeping notes before we go. Number one, be sure to visit MadisonPoster.com and order your Lionel D145 dealer mural. The pre-orders are open now, and we will get those to you as soon as we can. Number two, if you have questions, comments, feel free to email me. The email is notch6, that's N-O-T-C-H, 6 spelled out, S-I-X, @gmail.com, notch6@gmail.com. If you haven't signed up for our email list, please do that. Go over to our website, which is notch6.com, and that's N-O-T-C-H and the number 6.com. The email list sign up is on the left-hand side. We give you all the early information about what's going on with the show, when it's coming out, who's coming on to the show, things like that. And we even ask our readers to submit questions for the show. So if you have a question for an upcoming guest, get on the email list, and that way you can send in questions and know who's coming to the show. Finally, for next month, I'm working on an interview with Richard Maddox, the former president of Lionel. Richard was at the company in the early 2000s, and he has a great story to share with us about his time in the hobby and in the industry, and some great stories about being at the helm of Lionel. So that'll be in the next episode of Notch 6. Thanks as always for listening to the show. If you like it, leave us a review on iTunes or Stitchers. That always helps us. And until next time, keep it in Notch 6.
Thanks for listening to Notch 6. You can find us on Facebook for all the latest news and previews of our next show. Be sure to subscribe to the show on iTunes so you'll receive the show as soon as it's posted. If you have any questions or comments, email notch6@gmail.com. That's NOTCHSIX@gmail.com. We'll see you again soon. Until then, be sure to keep it in Notch 6.